We can have democracy in this country, or we can have great wealth concentrated in the hands of a few. But we cannot have both. Louis Brandeis, Supreme Court Justice, 1941. Welcome to the revolution. Welcome back to We Need a Revolution. My name is Kevin Rosenquist, and as always, I am joined by John Banks. John, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing really well. I just realized as we were doing the open, or you were doing the open, I had a lot of windows open. I was like, was cleaning up my screen in a panic. So
okay,
because
are you okay?
Yeah, I was looking for storage units earlier today, and I didn't want to get lost in that. You know how riveting it is to read about storage. So.
Well, honestly, it's really what keeps me up at night is thinking about where I'm going to store things throughout the remainder of my life.
Like where you're going to store it, how you're going to store it.
Yeah,
yeah.
How much is this going to cost me? Is it tax deductible? Like, what happens here? What's going on? What's going on?
But how are you doing?
I'm good. I was going to tell you. I kind of started talking about it with you a little bit, but I've been spending time on Threads lately.
Yes, like threads of, like on the internet. You mean those kinds of threads? Or
the threads. It's basically Meta's X or Twitter or Twitter X or whatever. Right. Yeah.
It's wait, is it an Instagram? Or no? They have a new thing? Wait, do they have a new thing?
It's part of Meta. It's part of Instagram, Meta, Facebook. It's that whole thing. Yeah. They're all linked. But I tell you, Threads, it's a dark place. It's a dark place. It's funny because I realized, like, as I'm looking at all this stuff and I'm thinking about, like, all right, there's all these people on there and they're very angry. There's a lot of anger, and it's I don't know why I was surprised, but I guess I didn't realize it's just name calling and anger, and dude, it's dark shit.
I watched a movie trailer today. Right. And I can't remember what movie trailer it was for. It was on YouTube. I was just like at lunch. I was just like 5 minutes. I was like, what's coming out? And I watched the movie trailer, and it was a cute movie trailer. Right. It seemed like it was going to be a fun movie. And I read like 15 of the first comments. They were all horrible. It's like, yeah, we have all become like, we just love to shit on everything. And everyone.
Anyone who doesn't disagree with us is either a libtard or a maggot or I'm trying to think of some of the other names. The name calling, the childish name calling on Threads is bonkers to me. I can't even wrap my head around that. I can't imagine going onto a social platform and saying with my name and picture on it, assuming it's really them, of course, but and saying some of the shit that I see on there. It's just horrible and mean and not productive.
What was there was Microsoft did an AI chatbot thing where they like a year ago, they released it and they had to shut it down after 24 hours because it was basically using social media to kind of learn from, and within 24 hours it became very anti-Semitic.
Oh my God.
Right. And so you're just like, whoa, and that was based on human behavior, right? Or based on, I shouldn't say, because I don't even know, again, I don't think that Thread, like all these things, right? Like most people are not going to be that way to your face.
No,
right?
God, no. Maybe more so today than 20 years ago, but certainly not to that level.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, because I think if some of the things people say to each other over social media, if you were to say that to them in person, violence could ensue.
You could get your ass kicked.
Right. And people understand that.
Yeah. No, it's sad. It makes me sad. If you're on Threads, there I am. I don't know how long I'm going to be there. If I'm if I'm being honest, because it is sort of draining too. It drains me.
What inspired you to do it?
Well, I was trying to be on Blue Sky because I like to know what people are talking about, and I want to know what people are talking about. I want to know, just as part of our mission of this show, right? We're trying to bring people together. We're trying to make people, not necessarily bring people together, but we're trying to get people to understand that we're not each other's enemy, right? Like we need to put people in power or elect people who have our best interest in mind, all the stuff, the mission of the show, all that. So I want to know what people are concerned about, what they're thinking about, even what they're angry about. And I did Blue Sky for a while, but I realized it was just all left people. It was totally left. And that's fine. That's all good. It was less mean. I'll say that much, because it was all people who, agreed with each other.
Right.
But I don't know if I can keep doing this. Like, if I can keep reading this stuff, it's just like, it's one of those things where you start to go, do we have a chance at all? Because, and like the diamonds in the rough of people actually saying either nice things or just like conversational, productive things, it's just so rare. But when you do, you're like, oh, hey, that person might be cool. But it's not, there's not a lot. So that's my take on Threads.
That is, hatred is an industry, and it apparently is an industry that pays very well for shareholders and for these companies like Meta. But I will say a positive note when you said there's more and more schools across the country who are like shutting out social media during school, and there's more states that are looking at passing laws about regulating how old you have to be on social media.
Yep.
So
I do like that. I do appreciate that. I think that's good.
Right. So at least up until 18, they won't be assholes.
Right. Not publicly.
Right. Yeah. So.
All right. Well, just a quick reminder. Thank you very much for being here. We really appreciate all you guys watching and listening. Please subscribe wherever you are, whether it's podcast player, if you're on YouTube. We very much appreciate the love on there, and I hope that you enjoy our shows and what we're trying to do. And maybe you'll learn something. Maybe you get a different perspective from different people. That's our whole goal. We do this. The comments are open. We look at the comments. Please engage. Please, by all means, if you've got anything that you want to mention or talk about, or a question, we're happy to have our guest answer it, us answer it, whatever it is, if we can. And we love to be to kind of build this community up further. John, do you have anything to add before we bring out our esteemed guest?
Floss. Make sure you floss.
Okay.
Very important.
How often? I've always wondered that.
I would say, I actually had my dentist tell me this. She said that I could do it once a day. I usually floss after lunch and after dinner, but she was just like, if you do it once a day before you go to bed, she's like, you're good.
Who does that?
Who flosses once a day?
Yes.
You don't floss once a day?
No, I floss when I have shit in my teeth, or when I'm like, it's been a while since I've flossed. That's about it.
And that's why you'll die at 57 and I'll live to 102.
Of tooth decay?
No. There's actually, because you can get all kinds of heart issues from bad teeth.
Okay. So, well, my teeth aren't bad. All right. Just don't.
I didn't say they were, but you're headed that way. So everyone knows now that you don't floss enough.
I don't like your attitude. All right. Our guest today is a digital marketing expert who has managed over $9 million in ad spend, giving him a front row seat to how the system can crush the little guy. He lived in Hungary for 22 years, watching a democracy slowly rot from the inside out. Now he looks at the United States, and he sees the exact same pattern happening here. He argues that the American dream is being liquidated, and what we are suffering from is something called elite overproduction. Basically, too many rich people fighting over too few seats at the table. So, please welcome Matt Borka. Matt, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Doing great, man. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Good. Yeah, you're really good.
We were talking before the show. You're in Thailand now.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
How many places have you lived? How many different countries?
Well, in total 3. So I lived in Hungary for 22 years. I lived in Scotland for 5, and now I'm here. So it's going to be my 6th year here. So yeah.
What's your favorite spot? Which one's your favorite?
In Thailand or
those 3, just those 3 countries you've lived in.
Oh, okay. It's hard to choose, every country had their ups and downs, I guess. I left Scotland for, I guess, the culture a lot, right? Scottish culture is great. Mm-hmm. In Thailand, the weather, food.
We talked about the food before we jumped on here. Yeah. It's awesome.
Coffee. Gosh, coffee is amazing here. Yeah, like the coffee culture is dope. Yeah.
Coffee culture is dope in Thailand. All right. Well, that's going to make it into our social clips.
There you go.
We want the world to
There you
know.
go.
We want the world to know.
And how is it the rainy season right now, or is it dry?
No, it's going to be dry in about like 2 months. So
Okay.
yeah, it's going to be like really hot. Yeah,
Okay.
like 100 degrees in Fahrenheit, that sort of thing.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
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 Lovely.
Yeah. Like super hot. But only for a couple of months, and then it's going to calm down, and yeah, it's not going to be that bad after that.
Good.
All right. Cool.
All right. Well, I'm going to start with this. You said the U.S. is going through Eastern Europeanization, which I practiced before the show and did pretty good for that.
You did.
What does that mean? What does Eastern Europeanization mean for the average American? How should we look at that?
Yeah. So to give you some context, I wasn't necessarily like politically active when I was living back home. However, I saw that there's a lot of issues in Hungary, right? And I was always paying attention to what was happening. And even when I moved abroad, I decided, you know what, it's actually really important to kind of know like what's going on. And as things start to sort of escalate in the US, right, I started to notice very similar patterns. And I was like, wait, at first I felt, no, I'm imagining things. There's no way that there's similarities here. And then as the election, especially last year, started to come along, and people started to campaign and everything, I really started to feel that, wait a second, this is like the way the name calling, like that's way too familiar. And as things were moving along, I started to see the parallels even more. Institutions falling apart, right? Business relationships not being solid enough, so contracts are not being considered at all, and people don't care about contracts, stuff like that. And I felt like very concerned about everything I've seen, and yeah, it's just super sad because there's a lot of issues in Hungary, and I do care about the U.S. a lot, and I don't feel that it's fair that the American people got to go through similar things, right? And then the other part is, like, I've done a lot of research on whether there's any chat going on in the background between the current administration and the administration in Hungary, and based on my research, they're definitely getting ideas from each other in a lot of different ways, and for me, that's the most concerning.
What kind of things specifically did you see in Hungary that like what can you for people who aren't aware, what happened in Hungary?
So what happened was in 2010, right? There was a socialist government, right? And things were not going well. Obviously, the financial crisis hit and stuff like that. And then a conservative party won in 2010, and they basically had 2/3 of the parliament. What that means is they had the majority, and then because of that, they were able to do whatever they really wanted, right? They also changed the constitution, which is something that people can, the parliament can do, right? So it's not like in the U.S. where you cannot just change the constitution left, right, and center, right? And slowly but surely, well, you can add amendments, right?
Right.
Yeah, but it's incredibly difficult.
It is very difficult.
Orban, the Orban administration basically just got rid of whatever we had before, and then basically now you cannot get rid of them. There's gerrymandering going on. They basically own the country, right? And it's extremely difficult to get rid of them. Essentially, multiple industries have been monopolized, and it's very difficult for small businesses to get ahead because they're basically being taxed to death. And And a lot of people don't want to start businesses because they feel it's a massive risk because they can lose a lot of money. And I started to feel that.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, go on.
Is this causing? I'm just curious. Is this causing an exodus of the population, or are people or Hungarians leaving Hungary?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
There's been a lot of people who left, and it's causing a lot of issues because if I'm from a place called Miskolc, which is in northeastern Hungary,
Okay.
and there's no jobs there. Like there's literally nothing, right? It's been getting worse and worse because young people who stay in Hungary, they actually move to Budapest. So outside of the capital, there's really no opportunities, and because of that, obviously that's causing a lot of issues because people don't have enough disposable income, stuff like that, right? And as I was listening to content creators and watching the news, I'm like, wait, like this doesn't feel right at all. Like there's way too many similarities now, and it's very concerning. And yeah, it's just I don't feel that stuff like that should happen in the States.
And what do you say to people who would make the argument, that we do have a constitution that is very hard to change, right? So there's 2/3 of the House and Senate, and then the president has to sign, and then you have to have 28 states ratify that amendment, right? So, not saying it's impossible, but what would you say to the argument? Well, that can't happen in the United States because of the Constitution.
Well, I feel that another way to look at it is the way, yeah, sure, it's hard to change the Constitution. However, what I'm seeing is that, like, the way Trump goes about it is, he's exerting his executive powers and throwing out executive orders. And the way I feel about that is, he doesn't really need those constitutional changes because he has other ways to do it.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, in fairness, all presidents do that. All presidents do a lot of executive orders. I think a lot of Trump's have been executive orders that were immensely controversial, at least a lot more controversial than ones I remember from previous administrations. John, I don't know if you agree, disagree, have more insight on that?
I mean, I would disagree in that because of where we lean politically, and Kevin and I, we definitely have come more to the center as we get older, and just over the last 5 years of what's going on in our country. Actually, we both like to say we really haven't moved. The lines, the political parties have moved. We haven't really moved. But I will say that I feel like it probably was a lot more controversial. So if you're a conservative and Biden was office and he was doing executive orders, you probably didn't like a lot of those executive orders because of, even if you theoretically would like what he was doing, because of how divided we are as a country.
Right. Yeah. Right? There's no way someone on the left is going to like an executive order that Trump puts into place. I mean, he recently, there was the TIPS thing, right? Wasn't that an executive order?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That was one, and there was another one recently that I can't quite remember. But anyway, yeah, they're controversial to say the least. But you're right, Matt. You're not wrong, and certainly presidents that will come after Trump will definitely realize that they have that power, maybe more so than they did before.
Right. Well, I do know this. I do know that from every president we've had since Reagan, each president has done more executive orders than the previous, right? But the other thing about him is that with executive orders, once that president goes out of office, the guy who's coming in or whoever's going to be coming in, they get rid of all those and do their own, right? So that's the problem is that they don't really hold up, right? Or
they don't last. They're not going to last.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Mm-hmm. But maybe that's not a bad thing if we're concerned about some of the executive orders that are coming out.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I mean, it is scary what he's doing. So I don't disagree with that. I do kind of feel what you're talking about, Matt, where I'm just like, whoa, like this is crazy. So now in Hungary, did you guys have is the political party there? Are they doing, do you have some equivalent of like ICE or this basically branch of the federal government who is out violating your constitutional rights. Is that happening or in your country? Or
So I feel, and it's not a funny topic, but Trump managed to trump Orban in that regard, because
okay,
the Hungarian people, I was just telling my wife, like, Orban would not be able to get away with something like that, right?
okay, yeah,
Right, because Hungarians would, if a Hungarian version of the events in Minneapolis occurred in Hungary, their people would be very, 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 very angry. Yeah, like
okay.
they would be. Yeah, like, I feel Orban knows that he needs to, in a sense, because we're in the EU. Obviously, we have to. If Orban did anything like that, like, Hungary's not an EU member anymore. That's for sure. Yeah, and because of that, he never went that way.
Would it be financially devastating if that were the case?
Exactly. It would be a disaster.
Okay.
So there's actually external forces that are preventing something like that from happening. But we're not too far from it. So it's not like he wouldn't do it, right?
Right.
He knows he can't, because the money tap is going to be gone.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Money. Yeah. So then getting back to what's happening in the United States, would you say that is more about is it more about corruption, or is it that the system is just no longer working unless you are politically connected, like as you see it?
It's a bit of both. I think the biggest problem is that there's so much lobbying going on, right? So much, there's so many things going on in the country that is preventing free market capitalism from happening. And I think that's a major, major issue. And I think there's so many incentives, and bigger businesses realize, oh wait, actually we don't have to do better. We can use our power to lobby, and then that's enough. And we don't have to innovate. We don't have to work on better products. And as bigger companies start to realize that that's the way to make things work, I think things stop to a halt. And because laws are not being enforced, for example, I don't know if you guys watched that Walmart video that More Perfect Union released recently.
Mm-mm.
There's been they've done an incredible job. Basically, they went down this rabbit hole and found out that Walmart has been forcing their suppliers to sell the exact same products for more, and essentially that's how they've been playing the game, and nothing has been enforced since the 80s. So essentially they've been bullying their suppliers into giving them better prices. And I feel, for me specifically, that's evidence that, like, if Walmart's doing it, there's a high chance that there's other businesses taking part in this sort of shenanigans as well. And
I've worked for a lot of companies, Matt,
and
I've worked for a lot of companies, and there's always bullying on pricing. How is that different from your standard, hey, you need to bring down your prices? I mean, I've had clients be like, hey, if you don't bring down your prices, we're going somewhere else. Like, straight up, like, you're going to have to bring it down by X% or else we're going somewhere else. It's like, okay, I guess I'll see what I can do, But tell me how the Walmart situation is worse for us as a society.
Well, they're a massive business, right? And it's not a one-to-one thing, right? Walmart has stores, I mean, everywhere in the US, right? And the implications of that, the idea of the video was, why do Americans have to pay more, right, for groceries, right? Since Walmart is so massive, I mean, the implications of it is huge. And because it's happening at such a massive level, I think that's where it's making everything really difficult, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see. You're right. I mean, and especially when you're talking about small businesses. I mean, they already have a hard enough time competing with Walmart, and Walmart and companies like it have been accused over the years of trying to destroy small business, and
Yeah.
I mean, demanding better price than everybody else, especially I'm guessing by quite a bit too. Because I mean, heck,
Yeah.
if you go to a small mom and pop and then go to Walmart, we all shop. I shop at Walmart too sometimes, and it's
Yeah.
not because I don't appreciate the local store. It's just because it's either it's easier or it's just so much friggin' cheaper.
Yeah.
And things are
Right.
expensive now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Which I actually remember. This is probably 8 years ago, 10 years ago. Rubbermaid had a contract with Walmart, and it was however long it was, a year or whatever. And at the end of that contract, they left Walmart because basically what Walmart was forcing them to do, they realized they had to have 3 times the amount of employees because they're working on much thinner profit margins, and they were actually making less money with more labor and more headache. So they actually pulled out, and because they realized it was not a profitable business model for them, right? So. I guess that's the thing, right? Is it like getting into like the digital space, right? Because I feel like Walmart and that's definitely shady, right? And as you said, if they're doing it, I mean, everybody's doing it, right? Every big company is going to be forcing, but I feel like it's more dangerous when it comes to social media platforms because they have such a hold over our lives, right? Like, I mean, they do have such a monopoly because even now, like, if I go to Walmart, like I don't shop at Walmart. And I'm fortunate that I just, because I don't have kids, right? And I feel like if you have a family, like every extra person you have in your house, with everything being so expensive, it just gets harder and harder with every person. And since I don't have a family, it's like, okay, I can
Here, John, here.
But I can go to this, I can go to wherever, and pay a little more, right? As my own political statement. But when we get in the digital space, like how do you look at that being kind of a problem relating to that?
Yeah. So like this is happening in real time. Okay. So I have a great partnership with a car agency, right? And we're advertising in Utah. And one of the biggest problems I've seen across the board in the past 9 years is that Facebook or Meta, they're charging whatever they want for advertising, and they're saying it's an auction system. It's based on supply and demand, but it's really not true. They charge whatever they want to charge, right? Even if your ads are doing better, right? They're not going to reward you for doing better. They're just going to increase the cost of advertising, and then you're averaging out. So there's actually less incentive for you to make better ads because you're just going to get charged more. And then it's a huge problem. It's a massive problem because if, let's say in an ad account, your cost per advertising is too high, they're not going to tell you why. And if you're trying to reach out to support, like I actually had to reach out to support because we had some policy issues with some of the ads I'm working on, and they started to use AI customer support, I think. So I couldn't even talk to a real person, and the AI was bugging out. And so, like, what do you do if you're a small business and you're getting hit by super high advertising costs? Like what can you do? You cannot go to Google because it's more expensive. And if you're with some businesses, Google is actually not even a good platform, right? It really depends on the industry.
Right.
So yeah, I do agree. Like they have a monopoly, and some people say, oh yeah, but what about TikTok? Well, it's not they don't have a monopoly because TikTok happened. Yeah, but their advertising platform is not like Meta. Actually, there aren't that many people advertising on TikTok because it's not the return on investment is really not there. So most people do Google and Meta still. Yeah,
I've heard that about TikTok, that there's not really an ROI on the advertising when it comes to that. Is that just because of the audience?
I think it's the ad product. Yeah. The way the algorithm works, and they try to copy Meta, but I think they haven't really done a good job at it.
You called, I believe it was, let me make sure I have this right, digital feudal lords, I think, right? You called is that what you said, that you called Facebook and Google at some point?
Yeah. Because I mean, it's so insane that they're getting away with, oh no, we're not a monopoly. We definitely don't have a monopoly here. Yeah, but you can basically charge whatever you want. So if you're a small business in the U.S. or anywhere else really, but especially in the U.S., you're going to be hit by extremely, like, if you want to start your business, right, and you're going to be discouraged. Like if you spend thousands of dollars on your ads and they're not working, they're not even being shown to the right people because like something happened. Like you cannot do anything about it, and your hands are tied, because if you want to show your service and product to people, that's like Google and Meta. Those are the two platforms for you, unless you do organic.
And it's funny too, because I used to work in the marketing space, and I mean, for me, what I see when I look at the digital marketing space, like Google, because I haven't done much with Facebook or anything like that, but I've done some stuff. But with Google, I've done a lot of advertising on Google, and it's like you don't see your ad. You don't see really what's happening. You have analytics, and you're trusting in those analytics to be correct. But to me, there's a lot less transparency in today's digital marketing space.
I 100% agree. Yeah. Yeah.
So as someone who has no idea what you're talking about, I understand what the word advertise means, right? So walk me through this, right? So let's say I have a window cleaning company, right? And so I want to advertise locally, right? So so I have my area. I don't want to go 50 miles further or whatever.
John, aren't you afraid of heights? I thought you can...
Well, we only do first floor windows. That's okay. We're first floor windows, and
if you've got a ranch, we're your guy.
Yeah, exactly. So like, how would that work? So I reach out to Facebook, and then what are the steps, and like what is it going to cost me, and so like as a small business, like, or would you say that as a small business I'm actually paying like a tax, right, because I'm a small business and I don't have leverage, I guess? So kind of walk us through that.
Yeah, sure. So the way it works is you set up your campaign, usually for local businesses, and I recommend doing something called instant formats, right, or messenger ads. So essentially, you advertise in your local area, and whether you use images or videos, and you ask people to sign up and fill out, give basically you ask for their information, right?
Got it.
And that information is connected to your CRM, or you can just handle it on the platform, and then you engage with those people. That's the most efficient way to go about it. Now, that's all good, and that works perfectly. Where it gets tricky is no matter what you do, you're not the one determining how much you're paying for your ads. Your ads go into an auction system, and your ads are competing with other people in your local area, and not necessarily only your industry, but whoever wants to advertise in your area, you're going to be competing with them. And
let me stop you there, because I just want to make sure I'm following, right? And so let's say there's 100 different companies in my market who are going to advertise on Meta. So then basically what you're saying is, so then Meta is taking that 100 and basically bidding, like we're bidding for the advertising, or
correct. Lord, John, how many dirty windows are in your neighborhood?
You're bidding. It's an auction. Basically you're bidding for the active eyeballs on the platform.
Okay. But I don't actually get to bid that. I just basically, do I know how much I'm going to pay for the ads before they charge me, or is it something where like I have to pay after?
You figure it out while you're running the ads, basically, right? Because you only really know how much you're getting charged like once the ads are live, and you can turn things off early. You can, it's absolutely possible, right? But you will only really know like once everything is set up. That's why I usually recommend like simpler setups for smaller businesses, because maybe you have to iterate very quickly. So there's no point in building out like a whole, like, you know, a crazy infrastructure, right? Because you might have to change things, right? The messaging might need to change and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, I understand the need for it, and I understand it's like one of those things, but it's a game that not everybody likes to play. That the whole, you know, the auctioning system. Is it why, you know, there are people who spend. I mean, you had like what, was it 9 million?
9 million.
$9 million?
Yeah. And I know people who
like,
spend significantly more.
That's crazy. I mean, that's wild stuff. I mean, it's not that surprising to me, but obviously people find value in it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a good skill to have, I guess. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Let's. I want to talk about something else that you've referenced. Historian Peter Turchin has a term called the wealth pump. Can you describe what the wealth pump is and why it's something that you've kind of grabbed onto?
Yeah, for sure. So, I have a YouTube channel, and what I like doing is I put a lot of effort into research, right? When I'm preparing for certain topics, and I came across Turchin's work through a YouTube video, and I looked him up and try to have a better understanding of what he's about, and it's a really interesting study. Essentially, what he's saying is that the 2020s. He predicted that the 2020s are going to be really turbulent times in the United States, because there's going to be a lot of economic, socioeconomic pressure that is coming from basically the overproduction of elites, right? And the idea is there's more and more people vying for elite positions in the United States, more so than in other countries, I believe. And because of that, there's only so many spots people can fill, and because of that, the competition gets out of control, right? And people don't play fair, and that actually results in the decline of upward mobility. And I think we're seeing that across the board. That if you're starting out, whether you're looking for a career or you have a small business, it's becoming harder and harder to get ahead, because basically everything is stacked against you, right? Mm-hmm. And it's really frustrating, right? Because, you know, a lot of people say, you know, you move to the States, and you know, the American dream is there, and if you work hard, and it's going to pay off. And what I hear from a lot of people is that that's not necessarily the case anymore.
No, it's definitely not, especially for young people coming out of school with, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt and either no work or entry-level positions, possibly not even in something that they wanted to do, that they got a degree for, you know, and that's not, obviously that's not going to be good for morale of the young people and thinking that the country's going in a good spot or anything like that. Now we talk a lot about on this show. One of our big things is the two-party system, the duopoly that exists here, and how they want us fighting. The more we fight, the better it is for the people in power. Now, you've argued that both political parties working together are working together to keep this wealth pump running, correct?
Yeah, so I think, don't get me wrong, it's not like there's only elites on one side of the political spectrum.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah.
And because of that, right, they all have skin in the game, right? And the way the media is structured right now, I mean, great example. And I like David Pakman, right? But if you have a look at the content and kind of the themes he's doing, it's Trump or Caroline Levitt, and that's it. Like he's not really talking about other topics. It's constantly the same thing. So if you're, let's say, subscribe to the channel, right? That's all you hear, and you don't hear any other perspectives,
right?
Right? And and it's a huge problem, and it happens on the other side of the spectrum as well, where
Yes.
if you're consuming conservative content more, right, and that's what you like, then you're going to be in that ecosystem. And unless you're actually looking to, like, if you're actually making an effort, if you're not making an effort to find other channels and other types of podcasts and content, you're never going to hear the other, the other argument, the counter argument, right?
Do you believe, though, that both political parties in the U.S. are working together to keep this wealth pump running, to keep, like, to ensure the elite status is there and attainable for them and no one else?
I think there's the better way to look at it is there's a lot of misaligned incentives in the U.S., right? You have the government, you have the ruling class and everyone else, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is, the government wants more money because they're spending too much, right? So they're saying, hey, well, you guys have to pay us more. And then people are saying, no, I don't want to pay you more because actually, like, we don't have enough disposable income, right? And we really need it right now because we need to buy a house, we need to have kids, and that sort of thing. And then the ruling class want to have better deals, and they want to have more profits and that sort of thing. So they're essentially working with the government and kind of against everyone else to maintain their positions. So I definitely think that there's a level of joint effort, but it really depends on, I guess the groups involved, right? Like whether we're talking about the automotive industry or retail, right? I think they're clustered together and they're kind of aligning on like whatever is good for them, right? That's the way I think about it.
Okay, so let's go back to so we talk about the political parties, right? And I'll say this,
Sure.
where one of the things that I find interesting, right, is when we talk about these terms like elites and like kind of getting back into division, where so if you look at Congress, right, and the Senate, most of these people, even if they get in, they're not doing well. If they're in for a long time, no matter which branch of government, or no matter if they're House or Senate, they do end up making a lot of money because they're allowed to do inside trading. They're allowed to do all these things that we're not allowed to do. So why do you think it is that it has been the left that has really got the label of elites and not all of them? Like, so I'm just kind of curious, like, what do you think about that? Like,
it's super interesting because the way I see it, like, I think
they're all elites.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yes,
I mean, just look at the Trump, the meme coin, coin, and the Melania deal with Amazon. I mean, isn't that the same thing? It is exactly the same thing, right? However, I mean, I think both. Overall, I think when the American people are being asked to pay more in taxes, it's unfair, no matter how we're looking at it, right? Because they already have massive budgets. So what are they doing with them? Right. Like, why do you need more? Like, you got to figure out. It's like, just imagine if I walked into a store and said, hey, yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take all these products and I'll pay you at some point.
Right.
And they're going to say, no, you cannot leave. You have to pay us. You have to pay us. No. So here's the deal. Like, I'm going to pay you later, right? And I'm going to borrow. Yeah, but you borrowed a lot already. No, it's okay. It's fine. It's going to be fine. And obviously they wouldn't even give me anything, right?
Right.
So yeah, the point is, something has to change very quickly, right? Because the bubble is going to burst sooner or later. Yeah.
We talked about the elite overproduction before, and I'm curious about, because we also talked about the idea of, we tell kids to go to college and get your degree, and then you get into debt, and you just don't have like a lot of opportunity. Does this create what you might consider counter elites?
100%, 100%. Because, I mean, I'll give you a real world idea. So I've done like an education project in Scotland for a year, right? And we were teaching people, digital skills and that sort of thing. And someone walked up to me with a master's degree in digital marketing, and I asked the person, so do you have any experience in digital marketing? Sorry, it was a degree in marketing in general, right? And I asked the person, do you have any experience in advertising, whether organic, social media, or digital? And nope, nothing. So he graduated, he's looking for a job, and he doesn't have the experience because his degree did not equip him with the right skills in order to enter the modern workforce, where actually digital skills are the most needed in advertising, right? And marketing in a lot of ways. And I see I hear this from many people, like, they graduate and then, like the people don't learn about AI, for example, right now. It's a completely new thing, right? And a lot of digital marketers are adopting it. I'm pretty sure that no one's, sure, probably there's some subjects about it, but
they're very fresh and new though, and not maybe real detailed.
Exactly.
And,
And it's a huge problem. And real life example, right? Ever since all these AI models came out, I'm currently managing 11 accounts. Okay. That ad accounts, that was not possible 2 years ago. I would have burnt out.
Yeah, your head would have exploded. Yeah, that's a lot.
Done.
Yeah.
Done.
That's a lot.
I wouldn't be able to do it. I'm taking on more accounts and I'm completely fine.
Yeah.
And it's all because of AI, because I can write ad copy with AI. I can write scripts with AI. I can train the AI because I know what good copy looks like. So the sad thing is, right now, I don't really need a junior person to work with me yet. The time will come for sure, but not right now, because I can still handle double the amount I was able to handle before. And I think that is, it's a macro issue, right? Because, it's not the university's fault that, AI can do that, but then something has to change because people are not prepared to enter the workforce, right?
Well, and I guess even if they are prepared, right, with AI, do you think, is it going to exacerbate the problem in that we already have an elite class, right? Or we have a wealthy class of people who are getting more and more power, and and you have these companies right now. You have several companies who are all doing this, which are some of them are very well established and monopolies in themselves. So so they've shown us they're not going to spread the wealth, but they keep saying, no, it's going to be fine. It's like, but what their actions prove differently. So, even if you're going into the workforce, wouldn't you say that, these universities, these kids are coming out very educated, they're coming out with a lot of debt, and they're, even if they have the skill set they need because of AI, where there used to be, 10 of those jobs at a company, now maybe there's one of those jobs available. Right. So isn't that adding to the problem, and we're just ending up with a lot of really young, smart, angry people, which if we look at, if you look at like China, that was the Mao revolution, right? That was young, smart, angry people, so like, do you think that we could end up there as a country? Do you think America is like, if we don't pivot?
The sad thing is, I think it's happening across the board, not only in the US.
Okay.
I think it's happening in France, UK,
right,
in Japan, and I have data on when it comes to those countries, right? And it's going to be a huge problem across the board, and in the US as well, right? Because here's the way I'm seeing it, right? Some of the businesses I'm partnering with, they're looking for very senior people because a lot of these AI models have to be trained. And it's not, for them, it's not efficient to hire a younger person who might not have that much life experience either, right?
Right.
So, in that, it's going to create a massive problem, because just imagine all these people, they don't understand why they cannot get jobs, and they get angrier and angrier and angrier, right? And no one is communicating with them. Hey, listen, this is what you need to do. Uh, you have to learn hard skills very quickly, right? And oh, by the way, that degree you paid for, yeah, you're gonna have to pay everything back, and then those skills are not really applicable right now. And I think that is definitely causing a lot of anger, because like, what's the solution? Like, sure, on the individual level, try to train yourself as fast as possible and look at like what senior people are doing in the industry, not what the universities told you to do, right? And that's basically my recommendation for younger people out there, that try to find someone who's done it for a long time and learn from that person. But apart from that, it's like I definitely feel that it's very difficult out there right now, for sure.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And you know, the idea of people coming out of college, like you said, like John, you're right. Smart people, well educated, maybe not like super, you know, hyper focused on certain things though. You know, like if you get a bachelor's degree in marketing, you're not gonna probably know the nuances of what you would need in somebody, Matt. You know, a lot of times, because it's just because a lot of it's theoretical, because of a lot of it is, you know, and you know, to me, I mean, I think you could make a strong argument that there's a lot of BS classes that you have to take that you don't really need to do. And I know people say that builds character and builds like makes you a more well-rounded human, but hell, man, if I'm paying $100,000 to $200,000 for an education, I want to come out and be able to be a rock star in whatever I got that degree in. You know, that would be my expectation. And well, if that's
$100,000,
yeah, right. Exactly. And if that doesn't happen, I'm not going to be too happy about it, and I'm going to really question what's going on in my country. And then you see in the news, you know, or even just on TV, you see successful people, and you see all this stuff, and you're just like, where did I fail? I did everything they told me to do, and I'm still not even like breaking even. I'm living with my parents. You know, I can't even afford a car. Like, you know, I mean, where do we go from here? How does this loop change?
Well, I think first and foremost, and I know it's impossible, but in an ideal world, taxes need to be lowered somehow. And I know it's impossible, right?
Yeah.
But somehow, something needs to change, right? Because people don't have enough disposable income. And actually, something that on top of all this, right? Just imagine a young person will have to work, right? Like they want to make money. So actually, they have tons of debt, and then they're going to have maybe like 2 jobs to support themselves. And then they're not going to have time to allocate time and money toward additional education needed to be actually to have the experience necessary to enter the workforce. And I think that's really evil if you really think about it. Even if you want to study and you want to educate yourself, maybe, you know, you're going to buy a course for a couple of $1,000s, that sort of thing. Like, even if you have the money, like if you're working 2 jobs, 3 jobs, like how are you going to have the time to actually study the thing, right? Yeah.
So I believe this is correct. You have suggested that the American dream might still be alive, just not in America, correct?
Yeah.
So I guess, you know, even though we have our problems, we're still the largest economy in the world. Yeah. Right. So, and the only reason I'm saying that is, I agree with you long term, right? Like, so if you look at it, like, I think it's easy to say, like, if we continue on this course, right, that very may well be the case where the American dream is not in America anymore. But like, where else could you go in the world where you have just such a massive economy? Because I do think that's part of the American dream is you come here, you work hard, and it is definitely harder than it once was, but it's still, you know, people are still trying to get into this country for that quote unquote American dream. So like, other than America, where do you think outside of America could you do that? Or where's that dream alive?
So one thing that I'm seeing is that there's a lot of people moving here to Thailand, to Southeast Asia in general, to Vietnam, Malaysia, Thailand. I mean, there's Americans everywhere. Like if you go to Wuhan, like you're going to hear and Americans mostly, and some French.
Okay.
It's insane. Like a lot of people moved out already because safety, cost of living, education, the healthcare system is pretty good, and it's fairly it's significantly cheaper compared to the U.S. and you can easily pay for it by yourself. So because of, and I mean, just think about it. It doesn't really matter like whether you're like third generation American, fourth generation American. Whoever moved to the United States, they had that, okay, I'm going to take this risk, right? And people see this opportunity. Hey, by the way, like it's cheaper in like Southeast Asia and that sort of thing. So the natural conclusion is going to be, it's actually much better to like, we can have a lower cost of living here. And I think, yeah, I mean, I see a lot of people who moved out because they just feel like I just cannot keep paying this much for everything anymore.
But aren't a lot of those people still plugged into the U.S. economy? In other words, I know they're not living here, right? But aren't they actually, so that's, I guess that's what I'm kind of saying is it's like they're working remotely and they're living in Southeast Asia because the money goes further there because they can't live in this country, but they're still benefiting or using this country's, they're still using the American dream. They're just doing it in a different country, right? Or am I wrong about that? I don't know.
I think it really depends. I've seen two pathways. Some people found ways to actually make it work here. It really depends. I mean, I've seen, like, if you go to Pattaya, for example, there's tons of American businesses, like restaurants, like a New York deli place, like a soul food place. Like, there's a lot of Americans who open restaurants, for example, right?
Okay.
And it's growing. And the other aspect is what you said. So people who work remotely and they, still have, they have a business or whatever, right? But I definitely see more and more people opening businesses and figuring out, like I've seen, like, for example, there's this podcast called One Night in Bangkok, right? And they're becoming like really popular because like it's a proper podcast and everything, super high production. And they have really good guests on and they show like a lot of different people who live in Bangkok and they talk about like what it's like living in Bangkok, right? So I definitely see a surge of people who are trying to make it work. But at the same time, I also have to agree with you because there's also people who are still plugged in.
Right. Okay. But oh, sorry, Kevin.
Go ahead. Go ahead, John.
Well, so basically, what it sounds like you're saying, right, is that you have. It basically seems to be, I don't know what you're saying, but as I think what I understand is basically there's kind of a shift in economics where it's like, yes, it's kind of like money is leaving this country and it's going other places, and people are starting like not only money, talent, energy. I know like a lot of countries, the fall of those countries are brain drain, right? Because the first thing that happens is when you start getting a dictatorship or more authoritarian, a lot of the smartest, richest people leave, right? They get out,
right.
So I think so. It sounds like that's kind of happening along with a lot of people who are not necessarily the richest, but a lot of people who are like, I just can't live here. So it's like they're going to Asia, and now that money, Southeast Asia, and now that money is kind of building those economies up. And fueling itself, right? Because that's how economies work, supply and demand, right? So that capitalism is working there and starting to grow on its own. Like, and so the digital nomads is going to be like, you'll have less and less American money going out of the country because it's going to be self-sustaining and growing at a much bigger pace.
I mean, I can give you a really good example. I've just seen the first ever like American style e-commerce brand here in Thailand. So they're selling mushrooms and they're growing them here. The owner's American, and it's Shopify store, everything, and it's all Bangkok based, but the owner is American. And
like medicinal mushrooms or just like button mushrooms?
Medicinal, yeah, like reishi and like I think some type of cordyceps and that sort of thing, like for like health purposes, that sort of thing. And the interesting thing is actually the United States and Thailand have like some sort of an agreement that's actually like if you're a US citizen, if you come here, you get like special benefits if you open a business in Thailand.
Really?
Yeah, you can own the business outright, because if you're not, by default, if you're not a Thai citizen, you have to have a Thai co-founder, and the person needs to own like 51% of the business. Yeah.
So Kevin and I can finally open up our food cart that we always wanted to do. So
You could.
Chicago style hot dogs, baby, in a hot beach. Yeah, we're gonna and
We're gonna, yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Get your greasy bacon wrapped Chicago chili soaked hot dogs before you jump in the ocean.
Delicious.
And the 99-degree heat and 1,000% humidity. So
whatever. Yeah. All weather is good for a chili dog, my friend. Well, listen, Matt, thank you so much for being here. I really enjoyed the conversation, and it's really interesting to get a perspective like yours, because of the fact that you're not, I know you pay attention and you look or you see what's going on, but you're not as deep in the weeds here as the rest of us are. So I appreciate your perspective. I'm sure. Well, I don't know. Maybe John doesn't. I don't.
No,
know.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope. Yes, I did. I hope I didn't do anything to make you think I didn't.
No, you didn't. I'm just teasing you. All right. Well, thank you to everybody else, or everybody out there for listening to us. We really appreciate that. Next week, our guest is going to be Dr. Leah Howard from the University of Pennsylvania. Dr. Howard is a political scientist who specializes in American politics, and she's the director of the Political Empathy Lab. We're going to discuss the division at the national level due to effective polarization and federalism, U.S. political subcultures, and how to actively practice interpersonal understanding. It's going to be a great episode for us to learn how we can all speak to each other, no matter where you fall on the political spectrum, which, as we all know, is easier said than done, right, gentlemen?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Just read the comments.
Just read the comments. That's right. That's right. That's correct. All right. Well, thank you both very much. Matt Borka, again, thanks for being here. Have this here real quick. Check out Matt Borka's YouTube channel for more of his takes. It is at Matt_Borka, Borka. And he does a lot of deep dives in the economy and as well as history. Any other social channels or anything like that, Matt, that you'd like to shout out?
Yeah, probably that's the main one.
That's the main one, your YouTube. Yeah, it's really good stuff.
Yeah.
It's really good stuff. It's well thought out and it's well produced, and it's all great stuff. So highly recommend you go check that out. John, always good to see you, my friend. Matt, thanks again. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Now I got to hit end stream.